hits on a Saturday afternoon here on Sports Radio 92.9 The Game. John Fricky with you. And today and tomorrow on my program, we welcome into the program Bob Berger, who will be hosting here on Sports Radio 92.9 The Game, and is spending a couple of days with me on this show just to kind of get his feet wet and get a taste of things. The Major League Draft has been held over the last couple of days, and unlike other drafts, the Major League Draft, of course, Bob, is difficult to get a handle on because most fans don't know much about the players. If we're talking about drafting somebody over somebody, well, okay, if you say so. It's sort of like this year's NFL draft. The first draft. Okay, sounds good.
That's right. Yeah.
If you tell me one offensive lineman's better than another, okay.
Took an offensive lineman with the first pick in the draft. Okay, I'll trust you on this one.
We are joined by one of the Braves draft picks now. He was a star at Kennesaw State and at Lassiter High School in Marietta, a local hometown guy, and he's now a member of the Atlanta Braves organization. Stephen Janas on Sports Radio 92.9 The Game with John Fricky and Bob Berger. Stephen, it is Stephen, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because MLB.com's got you as Steve, and I wanted to make sure.
Yeah, that was sometimes put down as Steve on the Kennesaw website, but it's Stephen.
Stephen Janas, who played at Lassiter High School, as mentioned, and Kennesaw State. Before we get into all your stats and a lot of the other things about you, how thrilled are you to be drafted by a major league team, and how much more thrilled are you that that team was the team from your hometown?
It was awesome, just getting drafted, period. A dream come true and a goal I had, but then it's the Braves, and growing up in Atlanta, it almost makes it twice as good, honestly. It's an awesome honor to play for the Braves.
David, as the draft approaches and then draft day finally arrives, and it's more than a one-day process, obviously, the draft, but do you get kind of a feel, what's the feeling surrounding you, the emotional level, but also did you kind of get a sense of where you might go in the draft, that there was a chance that the Braves might take you in maybe some conversations you had with them over time?
Yes, I actually got to go throw at Turner Field on Wednesday, and the Braves and my advisor had talked a little bit, and we had a little deal, and I had an idea, anything can happen, you hear a bunch of stories, but I was pretty anxious but relieved when it came to it.
We're talking with Stephen Janas. He is a pitcher from Kennesaw State. Born in Atlanta, went to Lassiter High School, where he was a star for Lassiter there in Marietta, and is now in the Atlanta Braves organization, drafted in the 6th round of the Major League Draft by the Atlanta Braves at KSU for the Owls, and the Owls had a great baseball program. This year alone, he was 9-1 with an ERA of 1.14 in college baseball. Stephen, that's one of the lowest in the nation. A 1.14 in college baseball is almost remarkable.
Thank you. It was a good season, looking back, there's countless plays that my defense made for me that could have gone either way, that could have given up some more runs and put a dent in the ERA, but I had a great defense, good catcher, and good pitching coach, Kevin Armenio, to call pitches for me.
Stephen, am I correct in saying that it was back in, was it March of 2012 that you had Tommy John?
It was April 23rd.
Okay.
I got hurt in March.
You got hurt in March. At one time, and we're going back a few years ago, when somebody heard that, especially fans of the game heard a pitcher would have Tommy John, they would think, well, that could be the end of his career. It's anything but now. People come back a year, maybe a year and a half, and come back not necessarily a different pitcher, maybe sometimes a stronger pitcher. Take us, if you would, through that time in your life and the physical but also mental recovery from that injury and surgery.
It was tough. I had some friends that went through the process the year before me, Travis Dean, and he's been my roommate, so watching him go through the process was tough to watch him go through that, and then you get in those shoes, and you basically start throwing 50% off a mound, and it sucked, but I thought it was actually pretty cool getting to start from scratch and just work on mechanics, not really worry about velocity and throwing hard, and I thought it was pretty cool, and gaining confidence was, I was a little worried about that or whatever, but first few outings were pretty strong, so I was able to build some momentum
Stephen Janas. Stephen, I want to talk to you about your velocity in a moment, but I would like you to, because Brandon Beachy is about to come back off Tommy John surgery, and you're going to have Eric O'Flaherty and Johnny Venters both go through Tommy John surgery. Can you, for the benefit of the fans out there, the baseball fans, many baseball fans know it, but for the fans who hear about Tommy John surgery, named after a great left-handed pitcher who was in the White Sox organization for a long time, named Tommy John, who was the first one to experiment with this surgery on his elbow. Can you tell and explain what the surgery is, how it's performed, and what they do?
Well, you tear your ulnar collateral ligament in your elbow, and it's a ligament, and what they do is they take the tendon from your forearm, or at least they did with me. Some people actually do not have them. It's a kind of a useless tendon, but they take that tendon out of your forearm, and mine was my right forearm, and Dr. Andrews basically, I think, anchors it down and does a little figure eight with it to take form of a ligament.
Really a remarkable thing, and the recovery was how long? I mean, from surgery to throwing full speed again took how long?
I was throwing 100%. I guess my first game, I was on a 30-pitch count against Georgia, and that was probably 4 or 5 days before 10 months of surgery. So I'd thrown 100% a couple weeks earlier in some inner squats, some bullpens. So 100% wise, that's about how long. But you start throwing, I want to say you start throwing 50 feet at 4 months or so.
Wow, that's amazing. Stephen Janas from Kennesaw State, Lassiter High School, born in Atlanta, drafted by the Atlanta Braves in the 6th round of the Major League Draft. And Bob, I mentioned the velocity, and you can talk to Stephen about this. His velocity actually went up to near 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, I would just take you back to Tommy John for a second. And Stephen, I think when they first performed the surgery, they thought nobody could be as good as they were before after the surgery. Now, the changing obviously has changed dramatically. And so your velocity right now is what? And as you continue to recover, I would imagine there's an ongoing recovery process, and you're going to grow as a pitcher the older you get as well. How would you describe yourself now as a pitcher, and where you think you will be in terms of velocity and overall as a pitcher?
Well, I don't know. I think I'm 13 months out of surgery right now, or a little over. They say 18 months you're back to where you were before, if not stronger. So I don't think I'm still 100% yet, or I'd like to think so. I'm still pretty skinny, so I think I could put on some good weight, and that'll help with the velocity and get stronger over the years.
You got some money now, I would imagine. You get a little bit of cash anyway. 6'5", 190 pounds out of Lassiter High School. Stephen, a couple of quick things here. Have you signed your contract yet? What do you do? Where do you go? Where do they start you? Have they told you any of this?
No, sir. I'm planning on signing tomorrow, and hoping to work out some details then. I do not know where I'm going yet.
Well, we wish you all the best, and in your mind, I'm sure you'd like to go right from the minors to the major leagues in fast fashion, and the Braves certainly got a lot of local guys waiting in the wings to make this Braves team at the major league level, and I can only imagine, Stephen, that this has been a lifelong dream of yours. And before we let you go, just one more time, what's it been like just living this dream, and your expectations to get to the major leagues?
It's been pretty surreal since yesterday. I don't really know what to tell you. It's awesome. I think it's great for my family and friends. It was cool hanging out with them yesterday and getting to share this experience with them.
Stephen, thanks very much for taking a few minutes, and we'll be keeping our eye on you. And best of luck if you end up in Mississippi, wherever you end up. Hopefully that route takes you through Gwinnett and onto the TED someday. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
All right, Stephen Janas joining us here from Kennesaw State, Lassiter High School, drafted by the Braves in the 6th round of the Major League Draft yesterday. Big, again, 6'5", 190 pounds, had the Tommy John surgery, and as his junior year, final year, as it turns out, at Kennesaw State, after the surgery, was up throwing around 97, 98 miles an hour, and now has one of the best ERAs in all of college baseball.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. As I alluded to before, you mentioned Tommy John, and that was back in the early 70s. He was
mid-70s.
Yeah. My recollection of Tommy John was that when he came up and was was throwing for the White Sox, he was a hard thrower.
Right.
And when they performed this surgery, years later, they probably thought, well, there's no way you can throw as hard after the surgery. So my guess is you had to become a different type of pitcher. And Tommy John became a different type of pitcher.
Right, he's an off-speed pitcher. Right.
And then all of a sudden, as the science got better, as the understanding of the surgery got better, all of a sudden, what looked to be, for many, either as a death knell for a pitching career or somebody who would have to dramatically alter a pitching style just to stay in the major leagues, now it's a year, year and a half, you're coming back, you don't have to worry, you can throw as hard, if not harder. It's almost like a rite of passage, and that's not necessarily a good thing, but it's almost like a rite of passage. Get the Tommy John surgery, and then, you know, you'll...
Well, yeah, my sense is that with Tommy John surgery is that the players actually do throw harder.
Yeah.
And so I have a relative who's a doctor, and he told me at one point, he said that he believes that it will become commonplace